Alrighty, Justin Fields, he's getting a little big for his britches here, I think, just a little bit. The man's not already in the league yet, and the man is kind of, talking himself up a little bit, maybe buying the hype. We just saw his pro day the other day. It was pretty good, making some nice throws, deep balls, absolutely fantastic. He kind of made the same throw that everybody was going wild that Zach Wilson made as well. And maybe even a little deeper on the same throw. But Justin Fields says he's different than the other Ohio State QBs. Quote, in all honesty, I think I'm different than those guys because we've seen, some decent play by Ohio State quarterbacks in the recent years, but they never pan out in the NFL. The latest example is Dwayne Haskins. Not great, really not great. So we'll quickly go over what Justin Fields got. I mean, the biggest red flag I have on Justin Fields is that I don't like what he does in kind of the big games. Lots of turnovers are just not showing up to the occasion. So really got the start here in 2019 a little bit. So let's go to what he did in these playoff games, these bowl games in 2019. First bowl game against Wisconsin. He plays well, 3 touchdowns, 299 yards, and they get the win. But then they move on to Clemson in 2019, and he flounders, 2 interceptions, turning the ball over, and then they lose, and it was a one-score game. When did that second interception come? Was it on a potentially game-winning drive? I can't find it out here, but the fact that he threw 2 interceptions here is not the greatest there. Floundering in the big games. And then just this season, yes, he got his revenge on Clemson, but we know that Clemson is going down every single year with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, like, that first year with Trevor Lawrence was the greatest, but then they've slowly started to decline a little bit. So here we go, 2020 bowl game against Northwestern, 2 interceptions. Luckily, they were able to win. I mean, this was for the Big Ten Conference Championship, and they only put up 22 points. He throws no touchdowns and throws 2 picks. Luckily, Ohio State has a pretty good game because they've got good running backs. That's why the quarterback stats are a little inflated because Ohio State has great running backs. We'll get to those in a second. But 2020, Trevor Lawrence kind of flounders in the Big Ten Championship. Then in the first round of the playoffs against Clemson, he gets his revenge. 6 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Played absolutely great this game. But like we said, Clemson's going down in kind of, status a little bit, value a little bit in the college football. And then just in the championship game against Alabama, oh my goodness, got absolutely smacked by Alabama. 51% completion percentage. Yeah, he didn't throw any touchdowns, but the man wasn't throwing good. Only 51% throwing. 1 touchdown, 194 yards, not even 200 yards. So played his worst game of the season here. He played his 2 worst games. The first one in the Big Ten Championship and the second one in the National Championship. So, his kind of clutch ability is a little bit in question here. Not the greatest. Those are the only red flags I have on this man. But then if we kind of go back to what other kind of quarterbacks he's saying that he's clearly better than, he's not like these other kind of quarterbacks. Well, let's look at Dwayne Haskins. He only played 1 year in Ohio State, like 1 starting year there, and he threw 50 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions, and he didn't even flounder. He didn't even flounder in their bowl games, in their against Northwestern here for the Big Ten Championship. They get the win. He throws 5 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Fantastic. Then in the bowl game against Washington, he gets the win again. 3 touchdowns, no picks, clean win. So even Dwayne Haskins, who played great in the bowl games, he and had a fantastic season. I mean, 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, absolutely magnificent. Justin Fields threw 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So Dwayne Haskins a tad little bit better there, but still couldn't make it work in the NFL. Let's go back a little bit further here. JT Barrett. He was looking pretty good, solid in 2017, 35 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Let's see what this man did in the bowl games. Big Ten Championship against Wisconsin. They get the win, but once again, he throws 2 interceptions. And then in the bowl game against Southern California, they get the win, but once again, no touchdowns, only 114 yards. So this goes to the point that Ohio State had great running backs. And who do they have for Dwayne Haskins and Justin Fields and JT Barrett? That J.K. Dobbins, who's making a year 1 impact, a rookie impact on the Ravens. Come on. So this Ohio State franchise here, this Ohio State school, it always kind of depends on the running back a little bit. We can even go back to Cardale Jones here. when I believe he had Ezekiel Elliott in 2015, and Ohio State was pretty good in 2015, but Cardell Jones wasn't that great. He wasn't the factor here, starting quarterback, only 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, absolutely not good. Let's see if they won the bowl games in 2015, thanks to their running backs. Did they not even get to a bowl game in 2015? What do they got here? He didn't even play in the bowl game in 2015. That's how good this man was not. What do they do here? What do they do? Let me look at the schedules and results here. So 2015 Ohio State got to the bowl game against Michigan. They win it. The Big Ten championship against Michigan, they win it. And then the bowl game against Notre Dame, they win as well. So once again, just carrying by their running back. So yeah, Justin Fields, you've had a pretty good season. Some red flags. Same thing with all these other kind of good Ohio State quarterbacks that, are going to definitely be good in this league or kind of, be solid in the NFL, making that transition from college to the NFL. I'm sorry, Justin Fields. I'm not seeing it. I would not draft the man. I would not draft Justin Fields. Those kind of, when he faces the best team, he flounders. When he faces the best defenses, when he's in the championship game, he flounders, not throwing well. Yes, he's not throwing picks, but then he does as well in the Big Ten championship game. I mean, your 2 worst games cannot be against good opponents in a COVID season and like in the big games, in the championship games, both championship games, Big Ten and national, he flounders the most, and the running backs just couldn't help him out in that last game. So Justin Fields, you can talk the talk, but we have a history here of not great Ohio State quarterbacks in this league, and I've got just a little bit red flag on this man. Just those are the red flags that I have, and I would not draft him because of those red flags, honestly. But we'll see. Maybe you can prove me wrong. I would love it. Yes, I want to see great. I want to see everybody be great in this league. I'm not trying to knock anybody. I want to see greatness. I want to see the best going against the best, so I know who's truly the best. But I do not think it's going to be just Justin Fields.